Welcome to the Rise Inside podcast, hosted by Justin Starbird and powered by Rise Robotics. Listen as host Justin talks to experts from the Rise team about topics relating to mechanical engineering, industrial design, commercialization, and innovation. True collaborations work when ideas are integrated at inception to solve significant problems. Rise Inside brings together how the team continues to work with great folks to commercialize ideas. You're listening to the Rise Inside podcast. Here's your host, Justin Starbird.
Welcome back to the Rise Inside podcast. My name is Justin Starbird, and today we are continuing our Inside Rise spotlight on the folks that make, the mission of Rise so important and actually come to life. And so today, I'm honored to welcome Hector Cazares, to our systems engineer here at Rise, to the podcast. Hector, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's happy to be here. This is a cool series we got going on, and wanted to see what it would be like to join it.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm thrilled. I just butchered your name. I'm sorry about that, but I my tongue doesn't roll quite the way it used to.
That's all right.
Well, it is a cool thing going on we have right now with the Inside Rise Spotlight series on our employees. And, I'm really excited to hear about your story. And tell me a little bit about, what is Rise? Who is Rise to you?
Sure. So yeah, whenever I guess I think about Rise or like try to explain it to other people, I definitely talk about it's definitely a group of people who, are like trying to work towards maybe adding to a really established industry, specifically like hydraulics. So, we're trying to, balance dealing with, really established technology and trying to bring in, more modern technology, electrification specifically, right? So it's just everybody has their part, and I'm just a small part of it.
Yeah. Well, you are a systems engineer. What does that mean for those that are looking at Rise from the outside?
Sure. So I think systems engineer was kind of landed on because maybe the tasks that I'm usually assigned with are really broad in terms of subject matter. It's started out with a lot of creating test apparatuses, specifically more the electrical side, but also dabbling in the mechanical side with SolidWorks and machining stuff. But then it moved on to more harness design, which is kind of like a weird space in between electrical and mechanical. And then most recently, the systems engineer title has been under the testing group, and I just go where I'm needed, and whether it needs to be designing a circuit board or machining something or getting something 3D printed or anything that we need to do to verify claims or test our claims, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, testing claims is a really important part of this because we get asked that question all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's important for especially like I said, these established industries to see proof of what we're doing, because naturally they're going to be skeptical about it. So if we can show them the numbers and how we got those numbers, they're more likely to move on with the partnership.
Yeah, certainly disrupting an industry takes proof. It's really neat to see that that you're out there performing those and being part of the deliverables. Does that make you feel really, how does that make you feel coming to work every day, seeing the results of, really the what you're helping prove out is turning into partnerships? What is that like to go home at night?
Yeah, it's great to have a deeper understanding of our technology, but through a tangible sense, because me and the team are working on ways to prove our claims. So we have to really get deep into the theory of our tech and be able to say, hey, here's our methodology. And when I come home, I'm like, thinking to myself, here's like a really, tangible and like noticeable effect that I'm having on Rise. And I feel like that's, unique to the startup space. And it, feels good to see your work have such a, potent effect, especially when you're comparing something to like a larger company where you might feel more like a cog.
Yeah. I mean, literally your fingerprints are on an industry now, right? I mean, like, what we're doing today could have ripple effects, all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, stuff gets posted all the time on our website and in, public or, news stories and I'm pointing, telling my friends, I worked on that like wire harness right there or something like that. And it feels really, a lot of pride in the work for sure.
That's cool. Well, what led you to Rise? Tell me a little bit about, what you did beforehand, before you joined the team, before you knew the mission.
Sure. Yeah, so Rise was my first job out of college, but it was my second co-op. So the first one was also like a really small company. It was called CNC Parts Department, and they basically had us, working on CNC routers of like the industrial size variety. So that was a good introduction for me. And I also like kind of learned from that experience that like a small team was a really important, factor for me. So when I saw the opportunity here at Rise for a co-op, I was definitely like excited about it right after school.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you go to school?
I went to school at Wentworth Institute of Technology.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, so they pushed that, co-op experience really hard. So, the co-op, office was like, Rise is looking for people, and I'm like, sure, why not? And so I came here. I saw the garage, and I was like, this is like really cool, like fundamental stuff that they're doing, and I'd like to be part of it from like the ground up. So that's kind of why I've sticked around, and also, startups definitely attract a more like I think like a more like ambitious group of people, and I think it's fun to be around that, especially in a town like Boston. You couple those two together, and you have like a really a great group of like employees and like peers who are really dedicated to getting things to work. And I think that's it feels really like a team.
Yeah. So you mentioned, of course, Rise, we're in Boston. What are some of the things that you do when you leave work?
Sure. Yeah. So if it's good weather, sometimes go to the beach with some friends or like try to do all the things that Massachusetts has to offer. Like just last week, went to the Renaissance Fair for the first time. Stuff like that. Like going out to the woods, that's another reason I came out here was because I really like that kind of environment. And but a lot of it is just trying to get some good downtime, catching up with shows, movies, with friends and family and stuff like that. And also big cooking guy, a lot of that at home, doing a lot of like little experiments here and there. So
what do you like to cook?
It really depends on like my mood. But I'd say like the three main things that I kind of focus on is it's easy to make in terms of like effort. It's like cheap and it's relatively good for you. So like that kind of gives me enough of a pathway to like while I'm like browsing a store to like throw stuff in the cart and see if it works. And lately, it could be like a bruschetta or something like that, or even like last night I was making like trying to make like the best like tuna melts I can. So it's like an iterative process. It's like
it is.
You mess up one day and you're like, all right, well that was my lesson learned. And so then you add or change another ingredient. And sometimes I'll go like a whole week eating the same thing but slightly different just to get like the perfect thing, and then I'll write down that perfect recipe at the end so that I can have like Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are in Boston, so I mean, there's the show, the tuna show, right? I mean, so we get it coming right off the boat. So you can have your albacore and the canned tuna, or you can have your bluefin that you pick up, and then there is one sandwich I absolutely love. And it isn't a tuna melt in the traditional sense, but it is, tuna steak, very, very rarely done with like a wasabi mayonnaise and a like Havarti cheese and a slaw. And I'll tell you what, you put that on a really good bun, and man, I'll eat that every day of the week.
That does sound good. Yeah, I think like the closer you are to like that restaurant, style like flavor that you expect, if you can make that at home, that to me is like a huge success.
Yeah, totally. I concur with you wholeheartedly. That's a lot of fun though. And I mean, and that's something that you get to share in this team environment with Rise, right? I mean, you come in and you're like you're saying, every day you have the same thing. And so now you got like your friends checking in like, well, what is it today?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. At one point uh I was making food for for some employees here, and they were like, paying me money and stuff like that, and so that was fun to do. But that's a lot of work to make food for two different people every day. So that's why I
Hector's,
kind of stopped that. But it was good to share the food. It really like forced me to be confident about my food, because I was like
yeah,
actually sharing it and I couldn't like mess up too much.
you got like Hector's food truck coming in each day.
But yeah, that's what we joke about.
That's awesome. Well, was it that? Did you see that sort of thing in Rise when you first like joined? Was that like, oh man, I see the team, or was it that you saw the vision, or was it this? Hey, I was at the co-op office, and that was the advisor was like, you should check them out.
Yeah, so after I had come into interview and like learn a little bit more about Rise at the time, this was February 2020. Um, it was like 9 people. So I just knew I was like, oh, I'm really gonna have to like get to know everybody and like really like work with everybody and wear a ton of hats, and that's definitely how it ended up going. So it was kind of like a really like intense learning period too, because everybody needed help with everything else at the time. And now that we're growing, it's cool to see things get more specialized, departments get created to focus on more specific things, like the testing department, which I would say is our most recent department to be created, because we finally like kind of realize that, oh, we need to be able to back up these claims, and we need to be able to uh, more easily justify our iterations in our design,
Mhm.
because it's not just about backing up claims. I would say actually most of the work for testing is learning about our designs and seeing whether they perform the way we've intended them to perform in the real world.
Mhm. So what does a day in the life look like as you're going through that? Like if I'm gonna say, all right, Hector, and you wear a bunch of different hats, you're in a bunch of different places each day to help out, and being one of the single digit employees of Rise, I mean, you have seen it now grow threefold. And I'm sure your experience is leaned on heavily often, but what does a day in a life at Rise look like for you?
Sure. So it's usually like first thing is kind of like planning out the day. Since things can change so quickly, it's actually quite imperative to kind of plan your day. Like even if you think like the day before, where you're doing, things can change so quickly that it's like, we have to shift gears to prioritize other things. But like once that's out of the way, um, it could be something like, oh, like assemble, like a thermistor kit to be able to measure, like a temperature sensor kit to measure our electronics under load, right? And then get
Mm-hmm.
that data, process that data, and kind of publish it internally to then kind of figure out what's going on with our system and see if it needs any attention. Um, or if something goes wrong, and we're more like reactive to it, we kind of disassemble our cylinder, look at it, see what's wrong with it, and kind of make a findings report with that, and then kind of push that down the pipeline to our design engineers and see make recommendations, see what they think about it, and kind of repeat that process until we have something that meets our product requirements.
Yep. So where do you see some obstacles currently, or not just in the day to day, but where areas where you're working to overcome?
Let's see, some obstacles. So definitely, I would say like at a higher level, task prioritization has been very like contentious, I would say, because there's so many fires to put out, because we're trying to meet deadlines and we're trying to develop this like brand new technology. It's only natural that uh, everybody's getting pulled in several different directions, right? And so being able to kind of have a team that has the foresight to know what direction is going to be most effective for creating a product that comes out on time, that meets all the requirements is definitely one of the more like straining parts of the job. And maybe one might be surprised to hear that it's like, especially in engineering work, that it's really, it can be like pretty straightforward because you know what you need to do, and you just need to meet these requirements, so get to work on those requirements. But once you start bringing in like the human factor into it, for example, like dealing with suppliers and dealing with vendors and people who we rely on outside of the company, it starts getting a little hairy, and we start having to like follow up with people and like trying to advocate for ourselves basically at all points, because if you don't, your CNC part that you send out is not going to be to the standards that you want, because obviously everybody's trying to finish their jobs as quickly as possible so that they can make money and whatnot. But here we have a really like stringent standards for our work, and so that kind of comes into play when we're like discussing with third parties. So I would say that's definitely our like biggest hurdles, like in a general sense. But other than that, definitely could always use more people.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a lot of projects seem to be coming down the pipeline, and it's tough to balance how many people you need at once, so that we don't have too many people who are just twiddling their thumbs and costing basically the company its precious resources, and also balancing having enough people to where you're not overworking everybody and you're getting things done in time and correctly.
Well, that's also an area of opportunity, right? And my next question is going to be, where do you see the biggest opportunities coming? And it's yeah, good.
Sure. So it looks like pretty much the mandates that certain governments, like California is like the first one that comes to mind, mandates about electrifying heavy machinery, are literally going to force people to have to change their technology and like their tools that they work with on the day-to-day basis. And there's definitely a bit of a vacuum in terms of like what's equivalent to current like heavy hydraulics, and that people just need to go somewhere, because otherwise they're going to get fined heavily or they won't be able to like operate. And so we're rushing to meet that meet that vacuum when the time comes where everybody needs to switch over. So I think the timing is like fantastic right now. I think we started like just early enough to be able to get ahead of that. And with the Anthony Liftgate's project coming out, our first product, we're gonna be able to show people like, oh, this is like a piece of technology from ReGen that's like out in the real world. Therefore, we now have a track record, and we have been able to prove that that you can partner with us, and you'll be in good hands. And it's a lucrative partnership.
Yeah, it's a really neat opportunity to showcase all the hard work that you've done, the team has done, and have it go out the door and people be really excited about it.
Absolutely.
Well, cool, man. What makes you most excited today about getting out of bed and coming into work?
Yeah, I think trying to get our technical goals done, but with the people that work here is always like an interesting and fun experience, because everybody's here for similar reasons, and it's great to know that what working towards a goal is like met with the same like priority and intensity as everybody shares that kind of sentiment. So tackling like problems, like in problem solving certain like issues feels good when you have like a team to back you up.
That's cool, man. Well, I'm really thankful to have had the opportunity to talk to you today and learn a little bit more about what makes you tick.
Yeah, thanks for doing this interview. This is a cool thing we're doing.
Yeah, it's the InsideRISE series here on the Rise Inside podcast. Sometimes I get my tongue twisted up talking about all of this. All good, man. Hey, Hector, thank you for joining me today. For those of you at home, you've been listening to the Rise Inside podcast. Until next time.
You have been listening to the Rise Inside podcast, presented by ReGen Robotics. On behalf of our guest today and host Justin Starbird, thank you for listening. Please share your feedback on our LinkedIn page